Roxanne White is a Native American. She is an advocate for missing and murdered Native American women, and she herself is a sex trafficking survivor. She joins me today to discuss her work, the group Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives No Borders, which she founded, and why Native Americans feel a close connection with the Central and South American migrants who are presently arriving at the U.S. southern border requesting asylum. Thank you for being with me today, Roxanne. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
So you were born and raised on the Yakama Reservation in Washington State. Where in Washington State is that?
I presently reside on Duwamish territory, Seattle, Washington. Yakima is east of the mountains here, about 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's one of the largest reservations in Washington.
You're still a member of the tribe. Do you ever not become a member if you leave the reservation? How does it work?
I want to acknowledge that we as a people didn't create the blood quantum. It's very harmful to our people.
In other words, if you have a certain percentage of ancestry to Native American, that legally under U.S. law we're talking about, puts you as part of a tribe or not part of a tribe?
Right. If you have a certain amount of blood, you can be enrolled in this tribe. The problem with that is it was created to eradicate us. For me, for instance, if I don't have children with another Yakima, the blood quantum is counted and lessened. In order to be enrolled as a Yakima, you have to be a quarter. I am not a quarter Yakima.
Your DNA is a combination of two different tribes, is that correct?
Actually, my DNA is a combination of 4 different tribes. I am Yakima, Nez Perce, Nooksack, and Gros Ventre.
What happens when each generation gets, I guess, their DNA diluted of that particular tribe? What does that do to you as a Native American?
It alienates and isolates a large amount of our descendants, and it causes this conflict of, well, you're not enrolled anywhere. The government does not acknowledge Native Americans that aren't documented. The purpose of that is one day there won't be any of us documented. And so therefore they can take the land, they can take everything that was originally ours, although they've almost taken everything as it is.
Right. Now you started a group, it's the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives No Borders. I know your aunt was murdered on a reservation. Is this the first time that you came into thinking about what's going on and what happened to your aunt, or was this an issue in your head well before even that happened?
Well, I was born into this. As Indigenous people, as Native people, this is something that we were born into. Now, today, what it looks like on the reservations, all the epidemics that we have and that we're dealing with as a people didn't start with us, but we are dealing with it.
What happened with your aunt? She got murdered in 1996. Can you tell us what happened?
What I'm going to share with everybody is my aunt was shot in her face, and I was there and I witnessed it. What happened after that was why so many of us are standing on these front lines for our own relatives, for justice and equality. Because after my aunt was shot, there was no trial, there was no jury, there was no investigation. In fact, it was very quick and very short. It was considered second-degree manslaughter.
What laws prevail on the reservation? Is that U.S. law?
So it wasn't tribal court that decided that. It was definitely Yakima County Superior Court judge. We can talk about what happened to my aunt, but the fact is the same justice that is given to a white person, we're not given that same justice, and that is the issue here.
And you're saying that not only about your aunt, but about many women on the reservation. Is that correct?
Yes, and we're talking about nationwide as far as Indian country, Alaska, and Canada. You know, this isn't something that is brand new. This is something that has been ongoing for 576 years.
How many women are you aware of? Has anybody even counted? How many women have gone murdered on reservations or have gone missing?
According to my good sister, Anita Lucchese, anywhere from 30,000 to 50,000. And that's dating back to like the early 1900s. As far as like knowing how many were prosecuted, I don't have that number because we wouldn't be here if we had data right now. That's what Anita Lucchese is doing. She is working on that data. And we need the data because the data is going to prove what we already know as Native people.
There's been a lot of rallies and marches pushing for legislation change, especially in Washington. What is that new law? Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it? Tell me about it.
I think we still have a long ways to go. This is just merely the beginning. This bill is going to give the tribes here in Washington 2 liaisons. These liaisons will be working with Native communities. It's also supposed to mandate that money's given to tribal police and the tribes to assist with law enforcement. This is a beginning. This is a start. It's a great thing. This is not just isolated to women and girls. We need to continue to do the work for all of our people.
So it's just the beginning, but certainly not the end, I guess, is what you're saying
Yes.
here. Now, your organization, the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives No Borders, tell me about it. Tell me about what you're doing.
I'm predominantly a grassroots advocate and activist. I'm also a survivor, so I come from a personal place. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives No Borders is a Facebook group where a lot of information is shared across Indian country and the world through social media. We can share the flyers. We can assist families in creating a flyer for them. A lot of people do view these flyers. They share them out to their communities, to their friends. And we have this situation where, because of social media, we can all share this immediately and instantly. So if somebody goes missing in Montana, we can work fast on the different reservations and in the different communities. And we can also support each other through there. And that's what I've been doing.
Can you talk a little bit about the history of the relationship between what's happening on the reservations with Native Americans, sex trafficking, human trafficking?
Human trafficking is something that European and Spaniard people brought with them from their countries. And so we've been being trafficked and enslaved for 576 years. So this is also nothing new. The colonizers' first 100 years, they didn't have any of their women with them. They had brothels, and they filled those brothels with our people. They target our communities. They're bringing these men through man camps, through oil bockens. They bring drugs, a lot of money. I mean, it's just like when we were in North Dakota fighting against Dakota Access, Bismarck did not want the pipeline to go under their water. They voted against it. Instead, they came to the Standing Rock Reservation and they wanted to go under their water. This is how it always has been. So, I mean, we have a long ways to go, but what we're doing is we're fighting against this.
I think the best thing that you can do, which is what you're doing, is make people care about this issue. So I think that's a really wonderful thing that you're doing.
If we're going to fix the problem, we definitely need to be working with tribes, and we need to be working with organizations that are Indigenous-led, Native-led. If you're a trafficker, you are definitely going to target our communities because you have poverty, okay? You have a lot of trauma, and you also have a system, a government that doesn't step up to protect us. Everybody has this idea of what a human trafficking victim looks like. I am a human trafficking victim, and this is how I look. And so, yes, our girls and our women are under attack. We are being targeted. Almost every tribe cannot prosecute a non-native, so that makes them, oh yeah, well, I'm going to go over here. This is a perfect population because there is no protection.
Where can people find out more about your organization and what can they do to help?
Follow me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. My group is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives No Borders. Also, if they wanted to support, they can contact Innovations Human Trafficking Collaborative. So innovationshtc.org and earmark MMIWG and Roxanne White.
And finally, we talk about what the American dream means. Tell me what that means to you.
That concept has changed since I was a little girl. So growing up, I was taught in the school system that the to elevate in education and to become very prosperous and to live this American dream. For me today, what it is to maintain culture, to continue healing, to continue breaking cycles, and to go back to our traditional ways, to at least connect with those and revive them and make them strong, to pass them down to our future generations, to protect Mother Earth, to protect our water, our way of life, our salmon and our whales, our eagles, everything from down to the plants. We don't own the land, but we were asked by the Creator to take care of it, to respect it and honor it. And so those ideas have changed for me. And I'm now 46. I'll be 47 in July. So I'd like to pass that information down to my grandsons and to my great nieces and nephews and to all those that are going to come after me.
Well, Roxanne White, thank you very much for coming on and really educating us and enlightening us to a serious, really serious issue that I knew nothing about beforehand. And certainly if anybody wants to know more about Roxanne White, you can visit her on her Facebook page at Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives No Borders. I really appreciate your time, Roxanne. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brad.
Okay.
You have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.